My name is Wounded Knee. I'm the California Miwok, and we're walking on a sacred site that is 3,500 years old, dating back to 1500 BC. GVRD wants to come and desecrate this site and build a parking lot and bathrooms on top of our ancestors and night lights and benches.
Coming here, this is a sacred Indian burial ground. You know, the community, the city, especially GVRD, they don't understand that. They want to build on it, and what we're saying as Indian people, you know, that's not right. We're not going to put up with it.
My name's Morningstar Gali. I'm Achamawi Band of Pitt River. I am here at Sogorea Te. I've been here participating in a spiritual encampment for the protection of this area. We got word that bulldozers were planning to come in on April 14th, and so we've been here since then holding them off. That if it wasn't for the fact that we were here, they would have come in and started to desecrate the area and started to bulldoze off the hills. They want to dig 7 to 10 feet and grade the hill. They want to put a parking lot and bathrooms, paved trails with lighting in and turn this into a park. We're here to say that this is not a recreational park, that this is a burial site, and that we're standing here together as California peoples. There's a number of young people here. There's a number of folks that have come from all over California area and beyond to come in and support and take a stand with us against the desecration of the ancestral site and the sacred burial area.
My ancestors are buried here, but my ancestors also came from here and were enslaved at Mission Dolores in San Francisco and in Mission San Jose and Fremont. One of the horrible things is that this place was that had been here for so many years, for thousands of years, was located on a 1909 map by a guy named Nels Nelson. He worked at UC Berkeley in the archaeology department, and he noticed that there was shell mounds all over the Bay Area. They ring the whole Bay Area, and at that time he knew that there was a lot of development happening, and so he quickly went around the Bay Area and was able to find 425 of the shell mounds. This is one of the very last shell mounds that actually you can stand on and feel land underneath us. We can have the earth underneath us. In 2005, we started shell mound walks because we realized that all of the shell mounds were being desecrated. We started here in Vallejo at Sogorea Te, and we walked down to San Jose and up the other side to San Francisco. And we stopped all along the way at these different places that were our shell mounds, and shell mounds are always burial places. There are village sites all over the place as well, but the shell mounds always have cremations and burials inside of them. As we stopped along the way, we stopped and we were in parking lots and we were in front of buildings and we were on top of streets, and it was always pavement underneath our feet when we were saying our prayers for our ancestors, to remind them that we still recognized who they were, and to bring recognition to the public that where they are, there's always been people here. That there has to be a place, a time where people say enough is enough.
We're coming to a little creek that our ancestors went to drink from thousands and thousands of years ago. And now they want to come and cut the trees down. That means the creek will dry up. And where will all the species go to get their water to survive here on this earth?
It's never been contested that this whole area right here, this cove, was a sacred area. It was a trading space and a village site that a number of the tribal nations utilized. It was the Wapo, the Miwok, the southern Wintu, which is Patwin, and the Ohlone peoples all were in this area, gathered together in ceremony and in prayer. And so even coming up, taking the 20 minutes to drive up here and just to be here and have your presence here really makes a difference in showing that support of the people that have been here this whole time.
My name is Michelle Steinberg, and I got involved in the struggle to protect Glen Cove, Sogorea Te, because I feel like as a visitor on this land, it's my responsibility to work in solidarity with Native peoples and the issues that they're dealing with, particularly around protecting sacred sites. I have some background with a concern in environmental as well as other struggles, and I feel like particularly in the environmental movement, it's critical that people be taking cues from Native peoples about stewardship of the land and how they would like to see it protected. I think a lot of times in activist communities there's a tendency to romanticize struggles in far-off places while ignoring what's happening in your own backyard. And it's critical because a lot of us are positioned to do the best kind of solidarity work here at home with the things that are happening around us. And in this case, I've been pleasantly surprised to see that following an event in San Francisco towards the beginning of the spiritual vigil, folks stepped up and said, you know, what can we do back here in the Bay Area? And as a result, they targeted Bay Trail, which is an organization that had $200,000 invested in the project. They were initially unwilling to meet with us, and following a protest that happened outside of their offices, we received a phone call like a half hour later saying, come meet with us. And we met with them the following week, and they immediately agreed to suspend their $200,000 from the project, which is 1/5 of the budget, so that's huge. An impressive aspect of this is that, at least at the moment, Bay Trail is listening to the voices of all of the Native peoples who have concern with this issue, including specifically the Ohlone peoples who have ties to the land, as opposed to just taking the party line of GVRD, which is that, only certain federally recognized tribes are going to be listened to.
There's the whole divide and conquer thing, which for those of us that have been involved in the day-to-day kind of negotiations with GVRD, it's been pretty clear that they intended to employ that as a primary tool from the very beginning. They from the very beginning, they have tried to kind of sow the seeds of divisiveness between all the different local Native groups.
It's 15 acres of land. It's not that much, but it's the last 15 acres of waterfront property. And I think that's what it comes down to, is that, it becomes a piece of development for other people when they don't understand this.
The Bay Area here is prime real estate, and if Ohlone people were recognized federally, then they would have to be given a land base. And that does, the state of California doesn't want to see that happen, and the U.S. government doesn't want to see that happen.
You already know that the government has admitted that this is land belongs to other people. Why do they have to fight and protest and struggle to keep burial grounds from being desecrated? So this already it's a known fact. There's no more such thing as Christopher Columbus Day, because we know he didn't discover America because people were living here. So why is it such a struggle? It should not be a struggle. It's say, okay, they won't want that land desecrated, leave it alone. It should be the same thing that happened for Scooter Libby. It should be a presidential pardon on this land, that you should never touch it. Anything that has to do with Native Americans' burial grounds, because you said that this was their land, they were here before anybody else was here. So it shouldn't even be an argument. But when you got a pacifier as your president, the same things are going to be perpetuated regardless, because he works for the white people.
My name is Francisco Dominguez. I'm from Sacramento. I'm a photographer, documentary photographer mainly, and I'm here documenting the ongoing occupation of Sogorea Te here in Vallejo. Myself, I come from Tarahumara heritage and blood. And if you talk to the people here in North America, from the different tribes, they have a thing where they call it, where they suffer from historical trauma. And I see this is part of it. The destruction of ancestors, the destruction of burial grounds. That's all part of it too, because how can you live within a society that has no respect for you? Yeah, where you're constantly told you're not important, your religion is not important, and your worldview is not important. As a matter of fact, you're in the way of development. you know. So I see it as that too. So in a sense, I'm really happy to be here, and I'm proud to be with these people because this is the right thing to do.
There was a huge shell mound, you know, a funerary monument, an Ohlone funerary monument in Emeryville. Then at some point they decided they were going to build a whole mall on top of it. You know, lots of people protested it at the time, but there was just so much money involved. And the people protesting it had so few resources and so few people on their side. So you ended up with this situation where the backhoes are digging up thousands, literally thousands of human remains and carting them off to a landfill in front of their descendants. And that, you know, that paints such a grotesque picture. And that is exactly what happened. And I think that was so traumatic, not only for them, but for everyone who has even heard that story since. I think it is so gruesome and awful that people are determined that they're not going to stand by and watch that happen again.
I feel like as First Nations people, as Native people, that of course, you know, it's our duty to take a stand in solidarity with other people of color, and we're asking for that support in return. We're asking for folks to stand here with us as First Nations people and stand here and support that this is not just our ancestral remains that we're protecting. This is not just a fight for our future generations, but it's a fight for yours as well. It's a fight for all of us to be able to take a stand against the U.S. government, you know, against colonialism that is still being perpetrated to this day, you know, against us and against our people. And so we ask for your support. We ask for you to come in and stand with us in this struggle.